Boy, we're live on the internet.
I think so.
Awesome.
And I can hear us. Perfect.
Okay, cool.
All
Cool.
right.
Just
So
what
what
we
are we
needed.
doing today, Harry?
Today we are going to be mapping a rocket launch pad. Well, there's an existing rocket launch pad, but it's going to get some pretty big modifications. So I thought we could do an introduction into the Soar Stories feature of the platform and basically map out this feature construction, and we can just chat and whatnot along the
Perfect.
way.
That sounds good.
So we
That
good to
sounds
dig
good.
in?
Yeah. Yeah,
Let's
definitely.
dig in. Cool. Cool, cool,
Okay, so
cool.
I'm
All
just gonna
right.
while you're just doing that, I'm just gonna put us out
Mm-hmm.
that we're live. Just gonna
This is totally not our first stream. No way.
yeah, yeah.
So what I'm going to do is, now that I've entered Source Atlas, I'm going to zoom down to Cape Canaveral, where this is based, and actually I should walk you through this a little clearer. At the bottom of the page here, we have the Source Stories button, which opens all the annotation tools, which are some amazing features. Um, and so what we're going to do, let me just open this up over here so I can keep an eye on things. I am going to bring in the image of the original plan. Um, Now, bear with me. Okay, I
So
don't
you're
think you can.
using the saw draw function here. This is for people who don't
Yes,
know.
yes, the source, yeah,
Which
source
is that
draw.
little paintbrush symbol right at the bottom of the screen on Saw
Exactly,
opens up this whole
exactly.
like
Yeah,
world of creativity on
yeah,
maps on
yeah,
this like digital atlas.
exactly. And what we're doing in this case is I have this. This is the original plan over here on the left side of my screen right now. Um, and this is provided by the FAA, which is the Federal Aviation Administration. I hope I'm not misremembering that, but basically everyone who controls like all the aerospace and whatnot in the US. Um, but as you can see with this map, it's not really the greatest quality. It's really low resolution and it's got ugly scan lines all over it. And so what we're going to do is basically make a nicer looking version of it using Saw's draw feature. Um, so what we're going to do is I'm going to bring this over. And so I've imported this JPEG into Saw, and I'm going to roughly geo-reference it just by stretching it over the actual launchpad itself.
So you're
Um,
just literally it's like tracing. You're like tracing it along.
yeah,
Now, obviously,
exactly.
with some like maps and other images, they can be taken at slightly different angles, can't they? So they can be slightly off in that regard.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's that's where you get headaches, but luckily this one is perfect. You just have to be a little patient and just align it. I did test this before just to make sure, don't worry. So we're not going to end up with a
Can you
situation where it
warp
doesn't
on
work.
Saw? Can you warp the image a little bit to like help it
Yeah,
flow
you
along?
can.
Oh, you can.
Um, yeah, especially like if you're not in stories and you're just uploading a map to the system, you can actually do that. You can twist it and contort it in all different ways. But I believe as of now, that is not in stories.
Right.
But I'm sure we will get that in the future, which, yeah. But
Yeah.
this works for now. So,
Just for
yeah, go on.
context for people who might be watching
All
this.
right, yeah.
Basically, I am a bit of a novice at Saw, as I'm like one of the newest members on the Saw team. I run all the social media stuff and all that jazz. And when it comes to the actual Atlas, I am now going to be the vessel for people who are new to Saw. So any questions I have, there might be people out there who see the Saw logo and be like, well, hang on a second, don't you know Saw? It's like, well, I know Saw, but when it comes to this kind of stuff, there's a lot of new functions added to the website, which I am being introduced to. So I can be your avatar to learning how to use Saw, basically. Just giving some people some
And
context there.
yeah, and I really like that model. I've seen a bunch of shows and stuff before where they will have the person who doesn't know much about whatever the people are talking about, and they ask the best questions, and it helps people learn. Especially in this case, like we want to educate people about Source platform and its tools.
Hmm.
And so you might think of points that I'm not thinking of because I'm like, yeah, everyone knows that, but
Yeah.
you might be like, wait, what does this mean? So yeah, it's good to have you here to ask those questions. Um, yeah, so basically, as of now, we've got this overlaid in the right area, so I can play with this transparency, and you can see like everything's it's pretty accurate. It's where
What's
it
the
should be.
detail difference between the two if you zoom right in on the rocket?
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to see like what the
It's
detail
too,
difference is here.
it's like that.
I
So
mean, that's
it's
night
quite
and
low,
day,
right?
right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think the original, like this JPEG that I imported, it was something like 600 by 400 pixels. So it was just
Mm.
abysmal. And that was taken right from the official PDF that was released. I was like, why did you make the map so small? So that's where I got this idea from. I was like, you know what? People need a good map.
Mm.
People need a nice high resolution map. So yeah, we can make it right here and so on. So now that this is in place, what I'm basically going to do, like you said earlier, is we're going to go in and trace all of these features. So all of these boxes with the colors, these are all new things that are going to be added to the launch site to support future missions. Um, and
Did you get that information from where you got this map? Which is why
yeah,
they're
yes,
already
that was
marked out.
already, yep,
Yeah.
yep. So
Okay. Cool.
everything you see on the map was already there. I didn't add anything to that. Um, yeah. And so we're just importing it just so I can trace and draw it, just to save time. You could probably sit here and do it manually, but it's much easier to trace things. So let's just get started with this big boy over here. So we want to trace this, right?
Mm-hmm.
This, and I'll come down here to the polygon tool is probably the best one for this. And we just do a simple click to add one point, and you just keep clicking every time you want to add a point, which kind of acts like a corner, I guess you could think of it as.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so basically, you can just draw this really nice shape in here, and boom, like that. So we have a shape, and then what we can do is we can come in and change the fill color so we can get it to match, which I think that's pretty snazzy. And that was a solid line, so we'll leave that as is. And see, you have a nice box. It's not exactly how they drew it, but I'm sure it's a pretty. Usually, these kinds of maps that are created for these purposes aren't like precise. It's just to give a rough
Yeah.
location.
And to be fair, the line you were tracing over is quite a thick black line around there, so it's like
Exactly. So
you're still
it's
within
just
the
a rough
lines,
area.
Harry. Don't worry.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I put too much pressure on myself. Okay. Cool. So that's that one. And then what we can do is if we just click on the map and see, there's that nice drawn over the high resolution Google satellite imagery. So that's already one big win. So we bring that back, and then we can do the others. So do you have any questions while I continue with this? No pressure.
Yeah, my questions are more like showing off some of the other capabilities, like the measure tools, and because you can actually measure.
We can do that.
The size of these, right? As well.
Yeah. So for example, with this one, what color was that to begin with? That was yellow. Sorry, I just want to make sure.
Oh, you just showed off that you could just click the box and move it as well.
Sorry. See, that's another one of those points where it's like I just take that for granted. But
yeah, it's like
can...
so the lines aren't fixed exactly. You can move them around. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I accidentally drew it over here, and I'm like, oh, well, that's not center. You can just drag it over. Mm-hmm. Boom, it's right in the middle. So you mentioned measurements. You can come up to the top here when you have a polygon or any of the other drawings completed. You click on here, and you can go, so show the total area within the box. So that's 4,322 square meters. Mm-hmm. And of course, you can change that to imperial if you like counting in feet. And you can also get rid of that and just show you the length of the edges. Yeah. So I have to zoom in for some of the smaller ones, being like, okay, that's 80 meters by 60 by 44 and so on. Even the small one in there, just a little.
That's so cool.
And of course, you can change if you want all yellow.
I was going to say yellow shows up better on the on those ones with the black lines.
Yeah, so we'll leave that there. You know what? We'll leave that.
And just for people watching as well, obviously I use Photoshop and stuff a lot, and obviously the Control Z function to remove stuff obviously doesn't work here in Soar. You have to use the bin tool, right?
It does.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, you can
well, there you
Control
go.
Z.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Perfect.
Yeah. Oh, whoops. Yeah.
I knew that already. I was just testing him.
Just testing me. All right. I think that's how I had it before, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. I just mashed Control Z a bunch of times. All right. And then we'll do this blue one over here as well.
Now
Um,
this one has curved corners. Can you do curved corners?
you can if you're brave.
Yeah, if you do
Um,
loads of little.
I So yeah, actually, that's a very good point. You can do it two ways. So you can do what I was doing before, and you can start a polygon, and you can just do a bunch of little clicks. And I
Hmm.
know it looks a little bit messy, but I mean, like when you're zoomed out and you're looking at the full map, you're probably not going to notice. Um,
No.
but there is another option, which I'll just show you once I finish this, which personally, I don't have a very steady hand, so when I use it, I run into a bit of an issue. But that's just me. See, that
Do you
doesn't
have a
do bad,
stylus
does
or
it?
anything? Do you have like a drawing pad or anything?
I do have a tablet with a pencil, but I'm not using that right now. So you
Right.
could. I haven't tried it to be honest with you, but you probably could do that. That's something I will have to play around with. Just to, I imagine it would work. Uh,
Oh, I've got one in
but
front of me. I'll have to try that after this stream. See if it works.
yeah, yeah. So there's like the corners are a bit bumpy, but if you're zoomed out, it looks
Hmm.
good enough. No one's gonna yell at you for that. So we'll move that out of the way just so I can show you the other option. So you can come in here and do a freehand polygon, which is literally just this drawing. And as you can see, I cannot draw a straight
Yeah,
line to
that's
save
when you
my
need
life.
the stylus.
And I let go early there so it closed in on itself. But what I should do is just go all the way around. Even if it's painful and it's ugly, I just want to show that this does work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and doing it with a mouse is it's just not fun.
Not a laptop mouse as well. That'd be worse.
Oh, geez, I could not do it on a trackpad. Oh, that's a headache right then.
Mm.
It's not too bad. If that was your only option, it's not too bad. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Can you straighten those
I'd rather
lines
not.
at all afterwards once they're drawn or not? Because I know obviously on the other
I
one you can grab
don't
the points
know.
you've made, can't you? And you can shift them around.
I Yeah, I feel like that would kind of defeat the purpose, maybe.
Maybe,
Maybe
yeah.
that's just me. But yeah, if you wanted the straight lines, you could just draw a polygon and just do a, you know, I shouldn't have put that middle point there. I don't know why I did that, but you could just do something. Obviously, that one's exaggerated, but yeah.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so there's a few options there. And then, oh, whoopsie. Uh, I'll just bring this one back over because I like the look of that one better in this case. And we'll make that blue.
So
Okay.
just to remind people who might be coming into the stream right about now, where is this launch pad and what is it
Yeah,
entailing?
let's
What
go.
are we doing?
So
Because I'm noticing we're getting
okay,
some
let's
people
just go
coming in a
way
bit
up.
more. So it's like, what are we
Let's
looking at
let's
right here?
Yeah, because we jumped right into this. So
Yeah.
we're in the U.S. We're in Florida, and we're down at the Kennedy Space Center.
Hmm.
And this is a very historic launch pad called Launch Complex 39A. And this is where Apollo 11 launched and where the first people landed on the moon. Most of the space shuttle missions flew out of there between 1981 and 2011. And now it's used for a lot of SpaceX launches. And they launch, things from satellites to astronauts to the International Space Station, all that kind of stuff. And these upgrades are to support their Starship rocket, which are you familiar
Yeah,
with
yeah, yeah.
that? Okay, cool.
So
Yeah, so they're
gonna
adding.
add all this to help with the sort of SpaceX stuff, and then did they have like a completion date for this? Is it already under construction? Like, how old are these maps we're looking at and the satellite image behind?
Okay, so this
No pressure.
map,
Do you
the
know? Do you know
one,
the answers, Harry? Like,
sort of.
what's my blood
testing my
type?
memory. I don't know that one. I didn't even know my own blood type. What am I supposed to? Okay. So now I forgot your questions. This map, the one that I'm tracing, that was only from like 2 months ago, I think. I think it came out in June.
Okay.
Because they were getting some environmental reviews done just to say like, hey, this is how we're gonna construct this, and we're gonna look after the environment at the same time. Because interesting fact, Kennedy Space Center is also like a wildlife refuge, and it's like one of the largest wildlife refuges that is also used for industrial purposes.
Oh.
So like everything around the launch pads and the buildings is all like zoned off, and it's all for wildlife. So it's That's pretty cool because I mean, if you zoom out, you can see there's a lot of space in between buildings,
Yeah.
and it's not open to the public, so that's like the perfect place for a wildlife refuge because you're not going to have people everywhere apart from where they're working.
Mm.
Um, I think that's pretty cool. Uh, what was your other question? Sorry, my
Oh, the actual satellite image on Soar, the base layer.
yeah.
Do we know how
Oh, the
old that
date.
is?
I don't
What we're
remember
comparing
exactly, but by looking at it, I want to say that's early 2023.
right. So yeah, not
Based off
too
of the
long ago.
progress that they had made.
Hmm.
Yeah, not too long ago, but I would like it if they updated it. Hopefully soon,
Yeah.
because a lot has happened since then. Um, so we'll just bring that image back. This image here looks a bit newer, but it's low resolution, so I can't really tell.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like there was one other question, but I was
No, no. I
forgot.
was just when
But
did they have a completion date for this, like in mind? Like,
oh,
did they mention it on
well,
where
I
you
don't
got
think
this
we.
map? It's for my own curiosity. I'm
Don't
like,
remember, to
how
be
long is this
honest with
going to
you.
take to be built?
I I honestly don't remember, but they have started constructing certain things. Like they've built a giant launch tower here, which is basically a giant tower that goes next to the rocket and just helps it with like providing fuel. And if workers need to go up and access it, they can easily do that, such and such. Um, but they probably want to get it done in the next year or two because they have to start flying NASA missions to the moon with that rocket pretty
Right.
soonish. So um, that's something I'm keeping an eye on my spare time because this is what I kind of do. I keep an eye on what all these space companies are doing.
Mm.
So I hope that answers some of your questions. While
It does. Yeah.
awesome. Well, I finished drawing these polygons because I want to. Yeah, but I do enjoy looking at sorry, not maps. I like maps, but I also like
Obviously.
looking at plans. Just yeah, I like looking at plans of places and just seeing, comparing them to the satellite images and just saying, okay, this is what's currently there and this is what they want to build. Um, and I'm a nerd. I'm a map nerd, so I just find that interesting. And then you can track it over time with satellite imagery. Like on SAW, we have the Sentinel and Landsat imagery, as well as some paid imagery from CG Sat, and I'm blanking. I'm blanking on the other one. Oh, there's another one I can't remember off the top of my head. But you can purchase satellite imagery from SAW. Some of it's for free, and yeah, you could track a construction project like this if you wanted to.
I was going to say we should
Um,
probably pull up a satellite image at some point and see if we can
yeah, we can do
see
that.
where the progress is as of a few hours ago.
Yeah, I'm not sure how recent. It would depend on cloud cover.
Yeah, that's
But what I can
whether it's going to
actually
be
do,
visible or not.
yeah, exactly.
There's only one way to find out.
What I can do is I can I can bring up a satellite image that I uploaded to SAW, and I think it's only maybe a month old, and that might be the quickest, easiest way to do it for now.
Hmm.
Um, and it'll be in much higher resolution than this, and it'll be much more updated. Um, I'll just finish drawing these first, and then we can go and take a look because I would like to show you that. Just show off a little bit. Do you? Just a bit of a personal question. Do you follow spaceflight much,
Every now and then,
or
when
is it
they
not
have more
really your
like a
thing?
major launch, I'll watch it live if I catch it. But obviously, I'm in a different time zone, so it tends to be like I catch it in the aftermath. Um, but I remember
Yeah.
like a bit of a on the same sort of subject, but not the recently. I remember one of my favorites was watching like the last flight of the Atlantis space shuttle. You know, when they were decommissioning the
Oh,
actual
okay.
space shuttles, watching their last takeoffs
Yeah.
was really epic. Um, God, that was like in like
Yeah.
2010 or 11 or something. I think it was
11.
2011. Yeah.
11. Yeah. It was like July 2011. My brain tells me.
Mm.
I think that's correct.
I was
My
living in London
space
at the
shuttle
time,
friends
and
will
I
be
just
yelling at me
caught
if
it.
I oh, oopsie. I didn't mean
You
to
want
do
to
that.
save it as a
Okay.
PDF?
No, not really. Who needs a PDF when you can just view it in SAW? Am I right? Um, Yeah, no, that's cool that you caught that. That was before my time following this. But that is one of those events that I look back on as a space nerd, and I'm like, man, I wish I was there to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, they were awesome to watch, but then like to
Yeah.
know that they were discontinuing it, it was sad. It was kind of bittersweet.
Yeah. And then, I mean, luckily now we have all these new companies coming in and,
Yeah, because
revolutionizing the
was it
industry, which is,
2010 when they made space a kind of public domain, where like if you have the means and the tools,
um,
there's no like laws preventing you from getting into space. Obviously, you have to make sure
I
you
think
can
it was
fly
like a
through the
little bit.
atmosphere. You've been hit
Exactly. I
anything.
think it might have been a little bit before that, but I think around the year 2010, 2011 is when it started becoming really
So I remember
popular,
that was
and
like
they
when
changed a lot of the laws around it.
it was like major news. It was like space is open to everyone, but if you can get there and obviously work with
If you can afford it.
if you can afford it and if you can coordinate with air traffic control to make sure you're not going to go into the flight path for anyone, but anyone can go into space if they want to.
Yeah. Yeah. So now what we're going to do is we're going to label
Are you
most
going
of
to
these.
match?
I'm not
Sorry,
going to do all of them
the
because
black line at the bottom. Are you going to go over that one? There's like a big black line.
no,
No.
no,
Okay, cool.
no, that doesn't need to be that. It doesn't even go all the way around, so I'm not sure why it's there in the first place. It doesn't make sense to me. But I'm not going to judge their mapping. I'm sure there's a reason. So luckily
Oh,
we
there
have
it
this
says
cool
there.
little
Like,
legend at the
sorry
bottom.
to interrupt. It says LC
Oh, the
finite
boundary.
boundary. Yeah.
That boundary should go all the way up here. I don't know why it doesn't go all the way around.
Hmm.
Okay, it's fine. I'm not going to judge them. Um, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go. So the purple one is a air separation unit. Would you like an explanation what an air separation unit
I'd
is?
love an explanation.
Okay,
Go
don't
for it.
expect this to be too accurate. But, oh, geez. From my memory, an air separation separation. I don't like typing when people are watching. That's correct, isn't it? I'm doubting myself now on my spelling. Separation. Okay, cool. An air separation unit is where you can, I believe you can make like fuel just by pulling it from the air. So you can pull like air through these massive pumps and create things like liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen just by freezing the air and like splitting certain particles apart. It's super nerdy, but it just saves them instead of trucking in all the rocket fuel, they can make it right there and just pump it across the site.
Is that how they make rain inside
That's my
buildings and all that? Like, or not? Not they don't make the rain inside the buildings. What am I talking about? I know the rocket launch pad where they build the rockets are so big they get rain clouds inside the hangars. I know that,
oh,
but they have a thing.
this building.
Yeah, but there's a
Specific one.
big machine around this area somewhere that actually pumps clouds into the atmosphere. Like it actually creates weather essentially.
Oh,
I
I know
forget
what
the
you're
name of
thinking
it
of.
now. It's
So there's
escaping
a
me.
so if I'm understanding you correctly, there is this rocket engine test stand. I think it's in like Mississippi, I think. And they fire these rocket engines, and the fuel for the rocket engines is hydrogen and oxygen. And when you burn hydrogen and oxygen together, it creates water. But since it's so hot, it just creates steam,
Yeah, no, I don't know if it
which like
is.
into the sky when they fire these rocket engines. And okay,
I think it is that.
is that
I
not
saw this documentary years ago. I'm pulling from the furthest like memories, like, uh, but like there's this huge machine. It's like pumping so much like water vapor and steam into the atmosphere. And it's like they're
Yeah,
genuinely creating like their own weather. Anyway, so that's a
I
different
think I
subject to what you were talking
yeah.
about. It's just
I
derail
think
us.
we could be talking about the same thing. We'll have to research this in our spare time.
Yeah. So I think Jeremy
um,
Clarkson, if you know Jeremy Clarkson, the British,
yeah,
yeah, I think
yeah.
he was uh, talking about it.
I think I remember him standing in front of that rocket engine test stand, so I
That
think
might have
that
been
might
that.
be it.
Yeah, that might be it.
Might be it. Oh no! Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't drag them out. Whoopsie. Okay, we're good. So I just started to put these labels in, and as you
Hmm.
can see, we can, thanks to our wonderful developers and engineers, we can color coordinate. You can color coordinate your labels, which is just amazing. Um,
It's the simple things.
It is. It's the simple things in life, you know. And this one, I just put the label inside just to save space. Um, what else have we got? So, oh, that label's already there, but luckily for us, we're going to get rid of that. So I'm going to put a little arrow, just like one an arrow, a line like they have. Just going to draw it like that. We'll make the line red to match the box. Um, so is everything being explained well? I'm not skipping over anything obvious, am
Well, I mean, as someone who's used these tools before, it's quite difficult to like view it as someone who might not know.
Yeah.
But as far as I can tell, no, it seems pretty straightforward. I mean, if people are watching along, they can follow where your mouse is going on the screen. It just all comes
Oh,
down to
good.
all this functionality that we're all seeing here on Soar is all found in that little
Mm,
tiny brush button
that little tiny brush button. Yeah, I
right
did
at the.
show that at the start. But just to be clear, I can, once we finish this, I can go over it again and just give a little refresh on
Yeah,
how to
yeah.
find these tools, just in case anyone missed the start. Yeah. So, okay. So just a quick explanation here. The catch tower, in case you're wondering, what is a catch tower? Um, it's basically, again, earlier I mentioned there's a launch tower. Um, actually, I can show you a better explanation of this. See here, this is an existing launch pad, and there's like this tower next to it. That's just a, and it's basically just where you can quickly access the rocket. And over here, this thing here is a crew access arm. So when they fly astronauts, that arm swings out over the launch pad when there's a rocket there, and the crew walks across into the
Hmm.
rocket. Um,
You can
but
actually see how tall that tower is as well by just looking at the shadow that it's casting on the ground.
oh yeah,
Look at it.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think that tower is something like 100 meters tall or something like that. I don't know
yeah, it's
exactly.
ridiculous. I mean, you look at the shadows of the other buildings and stuff, and then that massive shadow.
Yeah. That's one of the funny things a lot of people talk about in the space industry. It's like you kind of look at certain pictures of things like launch pads or rockets, and you're like, oh yeah, it's like kind of big. But everything around it is so big, all the buildings and everything is just so large. You don't really get a sense of scale until you see like a person stood next to it, and you're like, whoa,
Mm.
these things are massive. So I'm glad you pointed this out. But this catch tower is have you seen the videos? I mean, you probably have, but of where SpaceX lands their rockets?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So instead of putting landing legs on their rockets, they're gonna put these. They've got these like little nubs that stick out the side of the rocket, and they built these towers with like giant arms on them. And basically, the tower's gonna catch the rocket in midair, so it doesn't need to have landing legs. If
I
that
guess
makes
that makes it
sense.
more streamlined taking off, so it'll save fuel and yeah,
Yeah,
it's a good idea.
yeah.
I mean, I know Musk likes his like mech kind of stuff, so it makes sense that he's gonna have these giant
Mhm.
arms to catch a rocket.
Yeah,
So they haven't
they
they're not
nicknamed the
built. They
catch
haven't built
tower
that yet.
Mechazilla.
Mechazilla.
They have built one in Texas,
Oh, okay. I swear, yeah, I swear I've seen one.
and yeah, and they are going to attempt to use it on the next flight, which could be within like a month. So
Nice.
we'll get an idea if this is
Man
actually
flight?
going to work. No.
Yeah, I was
Just
gonna.
an uncrewed test flight locally. Um, I don't think it would be a good idea to put people on that just yet. No disrespect to the engineers. It's just, you want to be extremely careful. Um, yeah, but hopefully we'll be seeing people fly soon enough.
Yeah, next 30 years are going to be crazy.
It's going to be fun. We're going back to the moon. We're maybe going to Mars in the next 30 years.
I've always said this is
Uh,
gonna get this might derail the conversation a bit. I've always personally said that I don't
but,
believe we're getting to Mars in my lifetime because I remember when
okay.
like like back in 2001 there were people talking about, oh, we'll have commercial flights to the moon in X number of years, and oh, we'll get to Mars in X number of years, and it's like that you're talking over 20 years ago now, and it's like
Mhm.
progress has moved very very little. I remember when Obama came
Yeah.
in, they were talking about building a moon base. When Obama came in, that was one of the things he was talking about. I remember seeing press conferences of him saying that, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds really futuristic and cool and all that." And then did it happen?
Yeah.
No, we haven't even been back to the moon.
No.
So I'm skeptical. I'll believe it when I see it. When I start to see them actually launching and heading to the moon, I'll be like, okay, now I'm on board. But I want to see that happen.
Yeah. I think that's understandable because a lot of things. I know we're slightly off topic for maps, but I mean we're doing this, so may as well while I finish up these details. Um, yeah, I think a lot of this. One of like as someone who follows the industry really closely, there's a lot of large timelines. You're like, oh, you launched this science mission to Jupiter, and it's like, oh yeah, we launched it, but now we have to wait 12 years for it to get there, and you're like, no.
Yeah, yeah.
And you
Space
lose all
is
that
big.
hype. You were so excited. You have to wait. Um, but personally, I do believe we're much closer to it than we have been for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. We'll see. I like to call it optimistic skepticism.
Yeah,
Okay.
that is my position. That's a perfect summary of it. Optimistic skepticism.
Yeah, exactly. All right, and we'll just pop one more label in here, even though it's not in the original plan. So we'll just call this the Falcon 9 launchpad, which is where SpaceX currently launches the Falcon 9 rocket.
I'm just curious. Is that your?
Yeah.
There's a little green G keeps coming up. That's not part of Soar, is it?
Oh,
That's
sorry.
your.
No, that's my Grammarly extension, so I don't misspell things.
Okay, yeah, we're not sponsored by Grammarly, but that is. I was just
Yeah,
wondering
no,
what
no,
that
no,
was. I was like, I don't have that. Is that a new feature?
no. Yeah. Okay, what do you think about those labels? Do you want to make should I make the labels a little bit bigger? Because if
I
you're looking
mean,
at
I
it,
like them. I like them. They're good.
I'm gonna make it
Launch
a little
mount
bit
could be a
bigger.
little bit bigger.
Yeah. Because then we get a whoopsie. Then we get into an exciting step next. Oops. Landing zone. That one's gonna have to scale up a little bit. And so, okay, here's another feature I haven't read over yet. So you can't really see it too well. Let me just change this to red. So I'm gonna have to exaggerate this as well just to make my point. So let's say you have this line, and you can see how this line is going over the text. That looks kind of ugly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you can do, if you don't want to move the box and for some reason you don't want to move the line, you can click on the text box and come up here to the arrange button, and you can bring it to the front, and then boom, your line's hidden.
Done.
So you have the layering.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a wonderful feature. Again, I use that quite a lot when I do these stories. So that's just another one of those helpful features. Exactly. And you can just, yeah, if you're a perfectionist like I can be, then you need it. Okay. So next function is what we're going to do. I think we got everything. So now you can see when I get rid of that map that we base this from, you have this beautiful thing up here, and you can come in and view it over high resolution aerial. I think this is aerial imagery from Google. So you have that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the image that I uploaded. And I told you this image is from like early 2023, right?
Mm-hmm.
The one that we're seeing. So you can come into here, which is your current page.
Yeah, sorry, on my end you're breaking up a little bit. So it was you clicked on edit details next to page 1.
Okay. Yeah, so over here, page 1, this is my only page right now. As you know, we can add multiple pages if you wanted to do a whole story, which I think that'll probably be a separate stream. But you can click on here and you can add things like a title. So we could call this like future launch pad plans for Starship, something like that. And then you can put a description in here, which I won't go into too much detail just to save time because you don't want to sit here watching me type. But one of my favorite features is you come in here and you can add not launch pads. You can
Maps.
add existing maps on Soar. So you can see here all of um, my excessive amount of maps that I've added from watching this launch site. Um, Whoopsie, sorry. And so we can go like LC39A 2024. And if I put my keywords in, uploaded a map, we've got so many. We've got so many. We've got so many. So, oh boy. Okay, if I call it launch complex 39A, this is on me for not tagging my maps properly. Yeah, 2023. Aha, here we go. From May. So from May this year, what's that, 3 months ago? And so you select that map.
Recent. And then it overlays exactly.
Boom.
Look at
right
that.
There.
Oh, now you can actually see some construction.
Yeah, so you can see there's a launch tower here, and it's got the grabby arms on it down in there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a new tank in here, which is part of what this box is here, which they didn't label for us, so I don't know exactly what they're calling that. But yeah, and so basically, yeah. So if you're doing a project over an area, but maybe Google Maps imagery is a few years out of date, you can search on Soar and go, oh.
Can we just change the base layer just so we can see the separation of the map between? Yeah,
something so
that's that. The map you.
Yeah, good call on that. Just to make it more obvious.
Yeah.
So you can come into there and then, see that difference. That's a very good call. So yeah, if you're doing like a project over an area and the Google satellite imagery is 2 or 3 years out of date, you can search on Soar, and if you're lucky enough, someone has uploaded more recent imagery, or you can do it yourself, which there are many ways to do that. I won't go into that now because we'll be here for another hour. But you can do that pretty easily. So that's just another one of these great features. And what I might do is I just might give us a black background, just so you're not too distracted.
Yeah.
And you can come in like that. Boom. And what other details was there anything else I wanted to do? And so other things you can do is you can lock your page. Mm-hmm. So if you want people to view this project and you don't want them to go scrolling around and zooming in, you can just hit the map view locked button will come up. And so if I was to send this to you, you couldn't go in and zoom around. And there are different reasons as to if you would want that or not, but personally, we don't need it because right now I want people to come in and go like, oh, look, they've started doing construction here and whatnot. So I think that's pretty much everything. So I'm going to jump in here. If you have any other questions, please do let me know.
So you're going to, how would you save this? Let's.
Yes. So we want to come up here to the save button up here. Once you're happy with it, and you hit save and you give it a title, and we're going to call it, what did I call it? Future launch pad plans for Starship at LC39A. Cool. And so now,
you can set the
once you have your title in, so you can have public so anyone can see the story. You can set it to private so only yourself can see the story, or you can have it invite only. Which, it's good to have a variation, but I'm going to make it public. If you want, we could throw this map in the description of the live stream when we're done.
Yeah, we'll do that. If you send me a link,
cool.
We'll do it.
Yeah.
But just before we wrap this up, if you save this, it's just because we want to just briefly go over the stories function because this is brand new to Soar, isn't it?
Yes.
Because obviously we're saying story, and we've got this one image on screen.
Yeah. So if you wanted to, you could come in and add another page to your story. So let me just change
the base layer back.
There you go. So you could go, let me try to think of something. You have this, and you can be like, you could do something like, whoa, this is what it looks like. No, see, looked like in 2023. I'll get rid of that capital area that doesn't need to be there. And then you could do all sorts of things just quickly, just to like
Yeah, just roughly.
Just a quick mock-up.
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll
Got it.
schedule the next live stream. We'll actually go more into detail on the story side.
Yeah. Yeah, we just wanted to keep it simple for this first one, so we're not here for 2 hours. Construction only, just something like that, you know. And then you can keep doing multiple pages, and so we'll just call this early construction, something like that.
So now, if you save it and then exit
Mhm.
or save it, and then you can, how do you go through the pages?
So we can go. So you go to view this story.
Mm-hmm.
You can also copy the link, which it gave you the option to there.
To share around.
Okay, cool. I was hoping my internet hadn't just broken. So it's going to show us black just because I set the base map, the base layer to black, but it's just got to load up my satellite image, which, hold on for my internet for a second. Since I'm sharing this to you, I think it... Yeah, this is not a Soar issue. This is definitely my internet. It's been a bit bumpy the past few days. I've also probably got other people in my house streaming things. Oh, come on, don't act like... Here we go. So you can get this, and then what you can do is you can hit the next button,
and it will go to the next page.
Yep.
So this is kind of revolution. Not to oversell it as someone who works at Soar, but like this is kind of revolutionary in the sort of mapping and atlas realm, because you can actually edit onto maps and then tell a story, a start, middle, and end over as many pages as you like, and
yeah,
it's exciting. I'm excited to see what people can do with this going forward.
Yeah, and as you know from the name stories, it's almost like a book. You got pages in a book, right? And so with this, you can tell a story. You could do a 100-page story if you wanted to. If you wanted to go into detail over whatever it is you're interested in, maybe some voyage to like the Antarctic or something like that, and you wanted to go in details. They went here, and then they went on a trek here, and then they came back to the ship, and they went to another place, and blah blah. You know. There are infinite possibilities, and for me, it's like I've been working on a few other stories, which I think we might bring up in a future episode, because those ones are like several pages long. We can run through that. Yeah, and actually, this is also a really cool thing. If you wanted to, you can also play with the Oh, well, I don't have a base layer selected, so that doesn't work.
You need to go into edit the story, and then you can show.
Yeah, if I had the Google Satellite base layer, you could go back and forth. Or maybe you just want to look at the labels without distractions. You know, whatever it is, there are many different options in here. But I do hope that makes sense. Is there anything else that you would like to go over? Because I think
no, I think that's good actually, just for our first one. Oh, what was that little pen tool you were about to click?
Yeah, just quickly, I was going to say, and if you're viewing your story and you realize like, oh, I made a mistake, you just hit the edit your story button right here. As long as you're logged into your account, then boom, you're back in.
Now you can change the base layer.
Yeah, oh, there you go. I should have done that from the start. And now you can come back to save.
Yeah.
And then you can go view the story. And so it's going to zoom us back in.
I always love that zoom.
It's just satisfying, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so if you wanted to leave it like that, you can just hit the transparency and you'd be like, wow, look how much they've done. Yeah. Yeah, so that's all stories, but like you said, we can go over this in more detail next time, because I think we've already run longer than we were planning to.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap it up. Anyway, so everyone watching, thank you for tuning in, and for those of you who might be watching it in the archived version, thank you for tuning in. Please go follow us on X. I think it's Soar_, @Soar_Earth, and be sure to look out for our stories competition, which should be launching in a few hours from us doing this stream, but it should be live now. It runs for 4 weeks. Yeah, so more information on that over on our social account. And thank you, Harry, for showing us this. And we'll be doing these live streams every 2 weeks or so. We're thinking we'll try and do a little stream get together, and we'll see how we go from here. But as our first one, I think it's pretty fun. So thank you.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thanks, Jack.
No worries.